I now call this meeting of the Amateur Detective Club to order. My name is Tristan Miller, the Saucy Sleuth.
I'm Melissa Meli, the Spy.
I'm Tyler Riley, cop and a half.
Here we go. We're joined today by Tyler via Skype. So if it's weird, I'm going to blame it entirely on Microsoft.
It's probably Microsoft's fault. Also, it feels like we're in a cave.
Yeah, because there's some echoing going on.
Hopefully not on your end. Hopefully it's just for us.
Yes.
But the listener will not have the echo.
Yes. Unless you want it, and then you can download it, put settings through GarageBand, do whatever you need to do to finish.
Or just go to a cave and live your life.
Yeah, something I wish I could do every day. Today's show is brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering our listeners a free audiobook with a 30-day trial membership. Go to audibletrial.com/ADCpod and browse the unmatched selections of audio programs. Download a title free and start listening. It's that easy. Go to audibletrial.com/ADCpod. The recommendation I have two recommendations for audiobooks. Number one, Poirot Investigates, because that's what this story is from. It's very good. It's rated by David Suchet rather than Hugh Fraser. Who Fraser? Who Fraser? You Fraser, sir. If sir, you sir. Anyway. And then the other one is Medallion Status by John Hodgman. I just finished it. It's very good. If you liked his previous work, Vacation Land, you'll like this one. If you liked his book of fake facts, it is nothing like that.
Yeah, I have been meaning to listen to that because I've been listening to a couple of episodes of Judge John Hodgman.
A very fine podcast.
And he definitely has been pushing it.
Yep, he definitely has. He's been really ramping it up.
I mean, as well he should.
Mm-hmm. What are we talking about? We're talking about the mystery of the cheap flat, the case of the
case. I believe it's the case. Case of the cheap flat.
Case of the cheap flat. Something I wish I could have in life.
Well, yeah, I mean,
parts of it.
We'll get into it.
Yeah, parts of it. We
did read this short story.
Yeah.
And I remember...
Again, speak for yourselves.
Yes. We as in me and Tristan.
So. Nah, Tyler.
This is such a fun energy today.
Yeah, I have a lot of chaos going on my end. So.
Got that sassy energy. Oh, God. Well, I didn't remember most of it, as per usual. Mm-hmm. So it was like a whole new world of a case.
Yes.
Yeah, I remembered that they had a very cheap flat, and I was jealous. That was all I remembered. That's good. So this particular episode of Poirot opens with them at a movie theater, and it is great. It's a very shoot 'em up mobster movie, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what movie it's supposed to be.
It's very similar to Home Alone.
Okay.
Merry Christmas, you dirty animal.
We start out in this movie theater. It's a mobster movie, and Japp and Hastings are with Poirot at the movie theater because...
It's so cute.
Of course they do this. This is how they live their lives now. And Poirot is making the best faces I've ever seen in my life. Mm-hmm. He doesn't like it. He thinks it's way too graphic. And,
too violent.
It's very those Americans.
Yeah, shooting them up all the time.
It's
he's not
very
wrong.
Uncivilized. Yeah, he's not wrong about that.
No,
that's for sure. And then they go to a party of their friend, some guy is his name.
Yep.
And they meet this couple called the Robinsons. Mm-hmm. And they have just rented a very inexpensive apartment. Mm-hmm. A cheap flat, some might say. Actually, first we meet them when they're going into
going into the flat, and then they meet someone on the elevator and going, don't bother, they've rented it out already. And they're like, okay, well, we're still gonna take a look. Maybe they didn't like her. And then they get the flat, so everything's copacetic and good.
Yeah, there's a woman at the door, and she says, what's your name? Mm-hmm. And they say Robinson, and she's like, oh, yes, come on in. Mm-hmm. Great. Sounds great. Okay. So, cool. They have this cheap flat. They tell Poirot and Hastings about it. Everybody.
Like, suck it, fools.
I mean, and fair enough.
Yeah.
If I had a really inexpensive apartment that was really nice in a nice area, I might do that a little bit too.
Oh, I would. I would invite everybody over.
Yeah,
like, look at it.
By the way, got it for a steal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they go to this flat, and then they visit. On the way out of the movie theater. This is a little disjointed. But
sure.
It's fine. Out of the way of the movie theater, the Jap is like, there's this guy from the FBI coming to work on a case here in the United Kingdom with me. And then so after the party, Hastings and Poirot are so curious that they go and visit Jap. But yeah, so they go visit this FBI agent, and he's mean to Poirot because he's like, you can't, you're a private detective, that doesn't mean diddly squat.
They're talking about him like he's not even in the room.
Yeah, it was quite rude.
It's like, oh, come on, Jap, you can't be hiring a private detective. They don't know anything. And Poirot's standing there, he's like, really, we'll see, I don't know. But, yes, Poirot is very curious about the flat that has been rented to the Robinsons.
Before we move on to the flat, we are told about why this FBI person is in town. There's like this international debacle, for lack of a better term.
Yes.
Where blueprints for an Italian...
Submarine?
Weapon? Submarine, yes. Submarine.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Has been stolen.
Yes. So that's being investigated.
By this lady, Carla Marie something, or... No, something Carla.
I forget her last name. It's very Italian.
Yeah, it begins with the D.
Carla Marie Wasacomanago.
I thought it was with an R, but whatever. But, I don't know.
Oh, no, you're right. Carla Romero.
Okay. Yes.
Cesar Romero's younger sibling.
Something like that. Yeah.
You'll never catch me, the Batman.
So yes, they're trying to figure out where this lady has gotten to with these sub-plans. So...
Onto the subplot.
Yep. So they're trying to figure out that, and then Poirot is like, what is going on with this cheap flat?
Yeah, and Hastings is like, well, I think they just probably misread their contract. Like, this is really not a big deal. Oh my goodness. What do you even care about this for, Poirot? That is how Hastings says it.
Yeah.
And then, oh gosh, what is the sequence of things?
He rents a flat across the next to the cheap flat. And Hastings is like, why do this? You're going to be out so much money. And he's like, it's going to be worth it.
Yes.
It's going to be worth it.
Yeah. Scoping everything out. And as they're exiting, they see this guy who's been scoping out the Robinsons' apartment.
Mm-hmm. Oh, is that Great Value J.K. Simmons?
Yes.
Yes, thank you so much. I was thinking it also.
He had a big mustache and a trench coat and a big hat and looked like...
And was looking for pictures of Spider-Man. It was...
Yes.
It was insane. Like, it was the crossover of the century.
Yeah, so very sketchy character.
Large trench coat, too, like, being so conspicuous. No, admittedly, in London during this time. Like, he has a fedora and a trench coat. He looks like a Tracer Bullet from Calvin and Hobbes. It's so silly.
It's very silly.
It makes me so upset that, like, I just feel like as a black person in today's world, I can't get away with that look. Or
Why
maybe
is that, Tyler?
just all of the suspicion being black in a trench coat and a hat. Maybe just hitting the trifecta is enough to just go unnoticed, perhaps.
Yeah.
But I don't want to find out.
That sounds fair.
Whereas I would say a white mentally ill person, the minute I even put a fedora on my head, people are very concerned that I might have a gun.
That is also solid.
Gosh.
And unfortunate.
Okay.
So they got this apartment.
They get this apartment.
Which is wildly expensive, right next to this other one.
Yes. And
well, it's on the 10th floor, right?
Something like that.
As opposed to the 6th floor.
Right.
They're on 6. Okay. The Robinsons are on 6. Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Who's on first?
Okay.
What's on? No.
Also, sorry. This is like a related tangent. Poirot and Hastings are being shown like the flat before they make the purchase. And they inquire as to this small door in the kitchen.
Yes.
What that is.
Yes.
And it's for waste bins. Everyone just like puts their waste bins out into like this door the size of a crawl space, and there are like stairs like in this kind of wraparound staircase.
Yeah.
For people to like have collected.
Right.
Why don't all buildings do this? It's such a good idea.
Yeah, it is a really good idea.
Yeah.
I think I may have seen it in some of the more affluent buildings in New York City. Well, not exactly the same, but like there's a regular sized door that you can put.
Yeah, in the hall. And then you just, or the place I would in my dormitories, they had just like a garbage chute.
Yeah, garbage chute,
just, like,
of course.
You know,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
fully. Yeah. But I would imagine the main thing is like you'd have to employ someone to come by, and like you don't want to make your super do that. I think that'd be very...
Well, I mean, it might be the super's job.
Sure.
It's my super's job to get all the... I mean, we take it outside because I live in a... You know, that's the kind of building I live in. But,
Same.
Much.
But the super...
We have to live in filth. What no one has told you is it's required by contract in my home to be fully immersed in garbage at all time, you see. So for you to even be able to take your garbage out to the curb is a privilege.
Oh, I see. So you're
know.
contractually obligated to just live with your garbage around you.
Yes, live in filth
Okay.
as penance. I'm not going to get into it.
Nope. Okay. So when they get out of the building, they see Japp and like all of his people and the FBI agent guy all
packed into this very conspicuous car.
yes, extremely worst stakeout ever.
It's like the guy that was staking out the apartment and the car, both like the company is the same.
Yeah. And what is it? They say that they think they've figured out that she's a nightclub singer, the woman who had stolen the plans.
Yeet.
Yes,
Yeah.
Carla Romero.
So did they find out her pseudonym at that point? And
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay. Because I'm trying to figure out when we have Miss Lemon getting involved in this.
Much later. But
yeah.
they've staked out, I believe they've staked out the apartment and are waiting for her to show up. And
okay.
Poirot is like, what if she just doesn't? And they're like, well, we hadn't thought of that. And the FBI agent gets very annoyed because he's like, oh, you got me.
Okay. Yes, that's right.
And then they've I don't know how Poirot figures out that she's a nightclub singer exactly.
Someone, yeah.
Maybe it's in her dossier, and so he goes and he makes inquiries to all the nightclub clubs in town, and they all don't, except for one who will not return his call.
No one. He doesn't answer his phone.
Yeah, at all. Yeah.
Clearly there's no answering machine. So, is this the point where? Or is it... Yes.
So Poirot goes and visits this one kitty clap looking themed nightclub, and
yes, there's a neon cat sign.
Yeah, which is my favorite. So insert joke.
Remember to do that later.
Yeah.
We'll get it in post.
Yeah.
We'll make this funny.
Somehow. But he goes and investigates. He confirms that she's there, but there's only so much information he can get because she's like, you seem like a weirdo.
Well, oh yeah, he's there, and he meets the guy who owns the club.
The weirdest man.
And he...
I wonder if the directing note was like, we need you to play it like a pervert. Like, everything is just making you super horny.
Except for
it's
phones.
Like
except for
his
phones.
direction was, if like someone was describing Tim Curry to an alien, and they were like, play that.
That's exactly
That's
right.
what this performance was.
Yep. Tyler got it. That's exactly right.
I work so hard to carefully construct jokes, and then Tyler comes in, just batting 1,000.
That's right.
This episode.
Mm-hmm. But this is what always happens. But we see Poirot, like, the phone is ringing. The phone is ringing and ringing and ringing.
And it's under
And
a
the guy's
pillow.
like, well, I don't know what to do about this. And Poirot's like, the phone's under the pillow.
And he's like...
Right there on the desk. It's so conspicuous.
And he's like,
it's not even very well hidden under the pillow.
Yeah, and he gives some malarkey excuse of like, there's all these scams these days via the phone.
So he'll like pick it up to make it stop ringing and then drop it right back down on the receiver.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing.
Do we ever find out exactly why? Like, is it like bill collectors or something?
Probably.
Yeah, he's trying to avoid the law, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh,
because
okay.
it's like he's running sex workers out of this place.
Oh.
And that's not legal.
Right. So...
Which is a shame.
Yeah.
Justice for sex workers.
Yes. Hashtag justice for sex workers. But for real.
For real, yeah.
For real. So then the next thing that happens is... I always remember everything that happens, but not the sequence of it.
Yeah.
Oh, we find out that... Well, he inquires to Weird Creepy Dude, do you have any Americans working at...
Oh, yeah.
Poirot? So you have a new act. He's like, oh, no, we have a Canadian. And then goes like on this weird tirade, and Poirot's like, something's up here. And he's obviously not going to tell me.
Yes.
So then we get...
Miss Lemon.
Sneaking in.
Oh my goodness. And she has clearly been waiting forever to do this.
Yeah.
And it's so good. She's like, put me in, coach. I've got this. Mm-hmm. And she gets all decked out with very cool hat and waltzes in and says that she is from a ladies' magazine and she wants to interview their new singer.
Yeah.
And Mr. Creepy Pervert guy leers at Miss Lemon.
Please, Mr. Creepy Pervert guy's my father. Call me Dave.
Oh, God. What was that, Tyler?
I said he looked at her like he was ready to risk it all.
It's true.
Oh, yeah, truly. Which is, boy howdy.
Yes, indeed. So...
And she almost looked like she was, like, entertaining it for, like, a half second.
Yeah, but I think she was just very in her character. Like, she was committing to the bit. In the common parlance. And she goes into the dressing room, and this woman is there.
And this man. Which is important because they established that Carla is like wandering around with an accomplice.
Right.
So, this man does not say anything during the course of the episode, which is like perfect acting.
Oh, yeah, that's true. He doesn't, does he?
He doesn't. I think he might have one line.
Yeah.
Perfect acting job.
Yeah.
You get to see the face. He gets to make his eyebrow go up at one point. And he doesn't say anything. He just stands in the background and smokes. Ideal life.
Yeah.
No words, just cigarettes.
The
Can't
husband.
lose.
Okay.
Can lose.
Thank you.
Definitely will lose.
Yeah, the husband. He does say something in the flashback sequence.
Oh.
We'll get into it. The best thing ever. But yes, he does say something like slowly, but that's really all he says ever. But yeah, he is there, and Miss Lemon's back is to him, and you can see as Miss Lemon tries to talk to this woman, the woman is looking back to the man, and he kind of gestures like, "Go ahead, you're fine." Yeah. And so she does chat with Miss Lemon, and she gets something out of her, but I don't remember what it was because I was just so enthralled by Miss Lemon's acting work.
So she goes back to Poirot, and she's like, there's a magazine on her desk, which is a publication you can only get in America.
Oh, yeah. That's
can only be attained in America.
That's how she says it, too.
Yes, it is. So she's a confirmed American, this fake Canadian, which I understand. When I went to the UK, everyone assumed I was Canadian, and I was like, yes.
Yeah, I mean...
Well, you are like Midwestern. You give off Midwestern vibes, which I associate with Canadians.
Yeah. That actually makes a lot of sense.
Minnesota is right on the border, so...
Yeah.
So they've confirmed that it's this lady, and...
It's this woman at the nightclub is Carla, which, in case you didn't get that from our fairy, because we were being really, really secretive about that association.
Listen, there's only so
subtle with an emphasis on the B.
Yeah. Always got to emphasize that silent B. Yes. So
back to the apartment.
Yes. Okay. Great. So Poirot sends in Hastings to go chat with the Robinsons while they're home.
Yeah.
So that Poirot can go do something shady in their...
Hastings is both so good and so bad at lying at the same time. It is... The cognitive dissonance within this scene is incredible. Like, he's very good at adding on to the lie he said, but the lie he said is bad. It's
a completely wild
He's like,
thing.
What kind of brush should I use to emphasize my floors? You clearly know how to paint a home. And they're like, we just moved in.
We don't know what you're talking about. Oh, it's so bizarre. And he just keeps going and commits to it while still flattering them. Mm-hmm. Very engaging. I mean, I would be totally enraptured by this.
Poirot is sneaking through that little door.
Yeah, that dustbin door.
Little egg man. Here we go. He's changing the lock to make it easier for it to open.
Yeah. He's making it very easy to break into their apartment.
But he does drop a tool, and then they all hear that, and they're like, ah, and then... Hastings like, I'll investigate it. I'm a private investigator. This is my purview.
Yeah, which he's also... He does it very smoothly, actually.
Yeah, I was very impressed.
It's like, sure. Hang on just a second. Just gonna be the hero, like usual.
And then he goes to the door. The door is open, and they're like, why is the door open? He's like, I think the wind blew it open. Weird, huh? Did you not hear the giant gust of wind?
Right. But then he says, you really ought to be careful and latch this. You never know who might be lurking about, and latches the door. And can I just say that even without Poirot's tampering, this little door is the easiest thing I have ever seen to break into.
Yeah, one swift
I could
kick.
break into it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. It's the worst little latch. Anyway. The
worst little latch sounds like a children's book.
It
does.
It's about learning to love friends.
Yeah.
That are bad.
On the t-shirt, it'll have a little latch with a face.
Yeah.
It's a single tear.
Or it's a metaphor. It's not a metaphor. It's like about single parents.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, no.
leaving their kids alone to watch television while they are at work.
Oh, it's about the 80s.
It's sad. It's sad. I don't know what to tell you.
It's the saddest children's book.
Exactly, the saddest little latch. But, so he does that, and then it's nighttime. It's nighttime now.
Which often follows day.
Wow. I've always thought it day follows night. Tyler, what have you thought? Vis-a-vis day versus night.
Well, I always thought the difference was night and day.
Yeah. Not right.
You are the one.
It's resolved.
So, it's nighttime now. The Robinsons are like asleep in their beds. And
all nestled on her
up.
kerchief, I on my cap.
And then the slinky weirdo that's been scoping out the place has been like, he's creeping in to break in, and Hastings and Poirot are aware of this, so they also go in through the dust pan door.
Yeah. But before this, we're at...
So it's not nighttime?
Wait, well, just quick flashback to Hastings getting a gun and putting gigantic bullets in it.
Very intimidating.
Giant bullets. And then they go do this. Okay.
Yeah.
Continue.
So he's sneaking in, and so Hastings has a revolver, and they go through the dusty door. And then they're waiting in the hall for this slinky weirdo to come in through the main door, and Hastings hides behind the door, and Poirot gives Poirot his gun. And then there's the guy, the assassin.
Yeah.
Has a knife, and he's brought a knife to a gun thing, and he comes through the door, and Hastings tackles him. There's a brief scuffle. Then he gets away. But they do break a piece of.
And he gets
the gun. The gun. Yes, very important. And they break a table. And so the Robinsons...
With apples on it.
Or
pomegranates, whichever.
Yeah, pomegranates.
And then Mr. Robinson comes out with a golf club.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Like in his pajamas.
It's very good.
And then there's no one there. And he's like,
yeah.
All right.
And then Hastings and Poirot run after the slinky weirdo, and the slinky weirdo is hiding behind a tree, and Poirot says very loudly, well, he got away, so now we have to go to the nightclub where Carla is at. And then they run and they go there. So they go to the nightclub with the FBI agent and Jap, and the FBI agent's like, I don't know about this, and then he sees Carla, and he's like, oh, you were right, no beans. And he pulls out a gun and is like fully prepared to just shoot her, which is wild. And Jap is like, you can't have a gun?
Yeah.
What is wrong with you? And he's like, I'm American. This is how we do it.
I mean...
Not wrong.
Nope.
And throughout this whole thing, which is very funny, they both Poirot and Jap keep mentioning that Carla's linked to the mafia, and he's like, there is no mafia.
No such thing as the mafia.
Which
There's
I forgot that was a take at any point where we're all like, no, there was absolutely organized crime. But anyway, so they go in, they wait for her to finish her act. Quite polite.
Yeah.
And then they go into the dressing room,
good.
and she's like, what are you guys, fans? And they're like, kind of. You
know, in a way.
And they get her to confess because of reasons. And so this is when during the confession, is the best part of the whole episode.
The flashback! So the reason this is the best part of the entire episode is because it is done on the most obvious cardboard soundstagey set meant to be New York City I have ever seen.
Which I understand why, because they don't have the budget to fly to New York.
Oh no, but it's the fakiest fake. And I could not be more into it. I think the nightclub sign outside the nightclub that she's performing in New York in the flashback says nightclub.
Well, it is nighttime, you see.
I love it so much. It's so ridiculous and terrible. So we see her singing. We get the narration that what had happened is she had pulled this off by seducing this man named Luigi and had him wrapped around her little finger. She got the plans, and then with her husband hiding out in the alleyway, she lures Luigi out into the alleyway, and he starts walking towards the husband, and the husband's, this is when he actually speaks and says, all right, easy now, or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then he turns around, looks at Carla, who shoots him 1,000,000 times to death.
Yes.
Which is when they clearly,
They got the plans, then they scuttled off to the United Kingdom.
Exactly.
And so she confesses all of this, and then the assassin has followed them to the nightclub.
Yeah.
And confronts them in the hallway.
Yes.
And
he has the gun.
He has the gun, and he's like, I'm gonna kill you if you try anything funny. And Poirot just keeps on stepping.
Yep.
And he's like, and he tries to shoot the gun, and it's empty. And then Poirot, doing the most dope thing in the world, just holds out all of the bullets. And he's like,
But it's one of those things where it's shot, the way it's shot, it's like a hero shot of Poirot's hand unfurling slowly to reveal these giant bullets.
Yeah.
It's great.
So then they're all talking in the lobby after the show. And the FBI agent is like, well, you sure showed me. We're going to pay you for this. And he's like, great. And Chap is like, why did you do all that nonsense with the gun? And he's like, well, we just saw that movie, and I saw how excited you guys got about the dramatics, so how could I resist? My boy loves attention. He loves making a scene. He truly does.
So, the reason that this whole thing had happened is because Robinson was the pseudonym that
Carla
Romero had been using to rent this apartment.
Mm-hmm. So she waited for people with the same name to apply for the apartment. So they would get murdered instead of her.
Yeah. That's it.
That's it. That's the whole bit. So lesson is don't trust cheap apartments.
That's really true.
They're all scams for murder. Boing. What'd y'all think?
I think
We did not take a break.
That's okay. You'll find a spot. I have faith in you.
Yeah.
Should we take a break now then before we get into our review, or no?
Sure, yeah, we can do that.
Okay. Here's the spot.
Hey everybody, it's me, Tristan. But you figured that out from context, didn't you? Because you're smart and maybe kind, probably, at least to some people. And that's better than no people. Talking about sponsors and stuff today. You can, of course, go to audibletrial.com/atcpod, get that free audiobook on us. Please rate, review, subscribe, all that, normal content creator stuff. We also have a Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/TristanJMiller to get early access and exclusive episodes and other content from not only this podcast, but the other two that I host and produce. Positive and Negative, which is about mental health and the arts, and then An Amazing Podcast, which is about anime. We're also on the Scavengers Network. You can go to scavengersnetwork.com to check out a bunch of great content there, including Myth Takes, Spooky Spouses, and Historical Hotties. Both Melissa and I have been on Historical Hotties, and they gotta get Tyler on there soon, too. Follow us on Twitter for some great Poirot content. I don't know, man. Just, live your life. Don't be mean. Chill. It's okay to drink a soda every once in a while. Just have a salad after. Find balance. Let's get back to the episode, huh?
And we're back. That was so fast.
So fast.
What a good ad break. Nice job, Tristan.
Thank you.
So yeah, this episode was an episode of Poirot the TV show. No, I actually enjoyed it. I ended up watching it 1 3/4 times.
Oh.
Because I couldn't distinguish the faces between the Robinsons, and they look completely different. I don't know what was happening. I just was like, there's a lady and there's another lady. Are they the same lady?
Listen, I as a white man, they all look the same. I
mean, Carla has dark hair. Mrs. Robinson, whose real name is Mrs. Robinson, has lighter hair. So I don't know what I was dealing with.
I don't see faces.
I don't see faces either. It's very hard. Yes. So I liked it. Fine. It was enjoyable. The backstage parking lot sequence cardboard with the flashback. There we go. That's the word. The flashback sequence was gold, with how absolutely awful the set was. So good. 3.5.
3.5? Okay.
Better than average. Some good moments. Maybe 4. Depending on how I feel at the time.
Tyler.
I'm going to start off with my rating. I'm going to give it a 3. It seemed like just like a very average episode, all in all, for me, as far as like the performances. The story was a bit too convoluted for me, but I still enjoyed it. The extra half a stash, because I was going to give it 2.5, but the flashback sequence really sold me.
Yeah.
Because I think it was very deep. You know, these cheap sets, an undistinguishable nightclub. Really, the director really leaned into how we remember things, I feel. We don't always get the details correct.
That's right. That's right. It was happening in their minds.
Yeah. I'd give it a 3 also. It was a perfectly adequate episode. Had some fun. Enjoyed Jap being annoyed by the FBI agent. I thought that was fun.
That was great. Oh, also the FBI agent at one point uses American football metaphors.
Yes, it's very funny.
It's hysterical.
Oh my gosh, yes.
That's the best part. Other than the flashback. And Miss Lemon's brilliant performance.
Yeah.
So those are the 3 things that I'm digging out of this episode. I mean,
I'll give it 3 1/4.
Yeah.
3 1/4.
Poirot's faces at the movie in the beginning were
Very
so
good.
gold. But David Suchet is always good, and so is Hugh Fraser.
Yeah, he was very good in this episode.
Yeah.
The main cast is really coming into their own, I think.
They know who they are.
You know who you are.
And yes, we have said some words. And
we're almost done with the season too. There's only 3 more episodes.
Hey, how about that?
So, what are you gonna do?
There's so much more of it to watch, though. We're not gonna run out.
We're clipping along.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I want to thank you for listening, and I now call this meeting of the Amateur Detective Club to a close.
Trumpet sounds. Trombone. There we go.